Hello, everyone. Welcome to Global Hack Week. Welcome to the second part of our CRUD app series. I hope you all had a good evening, good morning, wherever you are. It seems that I still have my music on, so I will turn that off. I hope you're having a good Global Hack Week so far. You've learned something. If you have any fun workshops you've been to, fun streams you've been to, feel free to drop them in the chat. I'd love to hear more about them. But in the meantime, I'm going to do a quick recap of what we did yesterday, kind of walk you all through everything we did yesterday. If there's any newcomers, then you'll be a little bit caught up to speed. But if you'd like to view the bulk of what we did yesterday, you can always head to our YouTube or Twitch channels to view the recording from yesterday and part one. So essentially, this series, we'll be building a meal and schedule planning app. We're using Flask and SQL as our technologies. Kind of as like a brief overview, my name is Gabriella. Here is the registration link for MLH. I'll leave that up on the screen for a minute if you weren't able to register your attendance so far. By going to this link and registering your attendance with MLH, you're eligible to win any swag that you might qualify for by going to different streams throughout the week. There's a whole listing out of all the swag we'll be giving away. Kind of what you need to do to qualify for those on the Global Hack Week MLH website. I'll give you all a few seconds to access that events link if you have not already. And in the meantime, my name is Gabriella. I'm a coach here at Major League Hacking. I enjoy using Python. I mostly use JavaScript and Python. Those are like my main two languages. That's what we'll be using today. Awesome. So we have some hackers in the chat. It's nice to see you. I hope you're having a good day so far. It's a little bit early where I am. I know it's later for other people. All right. So now that hopefully you had the chance to fill out your MLH registration link, I'm going to move on. So as a little bit of a recap, a CRUD app is not a bad app. It basically just stands for different operations you'll be doing using your SQL database. So you'll be creating, reading, updating, and deleting all your different data pieces. They basically are just apps that complete these functions. And they manage data in a pretty simple way and allow you to learn a little bit more about both web development as well as how to manage data. As far as what we're doing for our app this week, we're creating a CRUD app to solve the problem of food waste. And so yesterday, what we worked on was implementing some basic functionality for our grocery list portion of the app. We implemented add and delete for our grocery list. And we also learned a little bit more about Flask and how you can integrate SQL with it. Today, we'll be working on the schemas for our meal plan and schedule plan before kind of bringing all the pieces together in part 3. All right, so now that we had a quick recap on that, let's dive back into essentially our code. Awesome, it looks like we have some other Python lovers in the chat today too. Love to see it. All right, so here is a little bit of a recap of kind of what we did yesterday. We defined the specifications for our project. I last night renamed some of the files. So all the specifications we wrote out yesterday in readme.md has been changed to part1.md. So if you see that change in the GitHub, that's like what I did. And I have a write-up of part 2. So we almost finished that Flask SQLite tutorial to get everything integrated. We're kind of using the tutorial and editing it slightly to match our needs. And there was a lot of silly mistakes throughout the course of our part 1. Thank y'all for those who pointed out like my missing parentheses or things like that to get the ball rolling. Kind of our to-do list for today is to finish the last bit of that tutorial and to get everything properly integrated. And this might be a little bit of an ambitious to-do list for our stream today, but I'm hoping we can achieve it. So I would like to create an update function and route for our groceries data. And then I also want to create schema for both schedule and meal plans before I fill out those databases, similarly to how we did with groceries. and then add in those CRUD operations, those create, delete, and update functions for our schedule as well as our meal plans. So that's what's on the docket for today. I'm going to quickly walk through what we did yesterday as a little bit of a refresher. So as you can see here, we have our index.html file. This is the file that is used as a template for our Flask application. Up here, we have our remove items form. This is how we're going to be able to remove grocery items from our list. All of it's like pretty like basic HTML templating, pretty basic HTML, but in here, as you can see, there is 4 item and shopping items. This is essentially just using Jinja to allow us to loop through our database and print out our items like as individual HTML elements. So as you can see here, it's items versus like a standard like item in it's items as a variable that's put in there rather than just like a standard checkbox or check or something like that. We're doing the same thing down here with add items. Just a little bit different logic because it's a little bit different of an operation. I'm actually going to run this to show you everything. And also for those of you that were here yesterday, we ended when I was making a very silly mistake and we weren't able to delete items off our grocery list. Since we last talked, I figured out what the issue was. It was pretty simple, but we'll walk through that in just a second. So as you can see here, we have our sample grocery list, which is like just 5 random items off of our database. We're able to remove items, and then also we can add items. So say I want apples, and I also want some clementines. Or I guess we already have oranges. So let's just do ice cream. We're having some friends over and we want to make sundaes with our ice cream and chocolate. All right. And then as you can see here now, I can remove these items. I can remove multiple. And then if I add a bunch of more items, or just a lot of apples, and then you're like, oh, that was a mistake. I didn't mean to add that many apples. You can remove all those as well. So if you remember yesterday, I was not able to get everything removed. So what the issue was on this line right here. So where you see name equals check, rather than having name equals check, I had it say type equals check. So not only was the type variable being written over, name wasn't being assigned. So in the app.py file, where we use some logic to pull out the specific item, like with the check name, it wasn't able to do that because it wasn't being assigned. So after I fixed that, everything was working perfectly. So that was a silly mistake, but you know what? We know what went wrong now. So that's good to know. All right, now that we did a little bit of an overview of the HTML, let's walk into the Python file. So here we just have some import statements. We're creating our Flask app, and we're also configuring our session with some secret keys and saving our cookies. These aren't actually secret keys because all this code is public and I'm going to be uploading it. We have a bunch of different routes right here. This is just the main web page. We have our add items route as well as our remove items route. These are just making it both possible to add and remove items. And here we are appending specific items after we want to add them. So after the add items method is called in our form, this will be appended, the item will be appended to our shopping items. We're going to modify the session so it will update, and then we re-render the web page so that the items are showing up. So as you can see here, when we click add item, that triggers the event that calls that function, and then it gets added to the list. And as you see, like when the page reloads, it re-renders with the new apples as a part of the array or list. I guess we're in Python, not JavaScript. Remove items. What we're doing is we're getting that check, that name check from the form, and we're assigning it to checkboxes to get that value. And we're looping through everything in our checkboxes, which is right here. All these are our checkboxes. And if any of the items in checkboxes is also in our shopping items list. So when we check them, they become part of the checked like items list. And all of the items up here right now are the shopping list, whether or not they're checked. So basically, if they're checked, we're going to find the index of that particular grocery item, and then we're going to remove it from the list, which is what we're doing right here with the pop method. Then again, we're changing the session to modify it, make sure that's true so that we're saving our cookies. And we're able to see everything updated. When we weren't saving our cookies earlier, it wasn't properly working because it couldn't remember to update the web page. And at the end, once we remove those items, we're re-rendering the web page that our deleted items are going away. So when we hit remove items, that's going to trigger that function. As again, the page reloads and it reloads without those items we just deleted. Awesome. Okay, so we have a new update item route right here. And then we have our databases function right here, which I'm not going to get too into right now. I'm going to get into that a little bit later as we use some similar logic for our meal and schedule plan. But that's kind of like the basic gist of what we did yesterday. So now I'm going to walk back into that Flask SQL tutorial and finish off like any of the last pieces. We won't be finishing the video entirely because we're not going to be hosting this. So there's no point in us going through all that, but let's get back into it. And also for those of you who were not here yesterday, the audio does not work with the setup, so you won't be able to hear it, but I will talk you through it, and I'm turning on closed captions so you're able to see what the video is saying across the screen. All right, let's get into it. First, we have to add here we can skip. Okay. No, I went back to the beginning. Okay. Let's see. We're before CSS styling. Here we go. Okay. Yes, this is where we were. All right. So since we have all the functionality, I was wrong. We did finish all of the functionality yesterday. We're going to be saving the rest of this for end of the session or session 3. This is just styling, working on the CSS and the web page. But we want to get started with our meal plan and our grocery plan. So let's get started with that. And I'll kind of walk you through the database function and what we're doing to use similar logic for our meal and grocery plan. Okay, so here we have, let me get rid of some of these tabs. Okay, I don't need part 1. I don't need part 3. Can get rid of grocerylist.db. Okay, grocerylist.py. So this is something, no, we worked on, where is it? It's, okay. App.py. Oh, I see. Okay. Yes. Okay. So for grocery list, let me move back and get these groceries really quickly. So from grocery list, this is what we had yesterday. I started working on what we'll be doing today. So we have grocery list.py. This needs to be in meal plan.py. I just switched them. So that's what we need to fix, basically. Okay, so Let me fix these real quick. And then move this over to meal plan. And then we'll be walking through everything. So basically, when you run mealplan.py or grocerylist.py, it's going to render in the database file with the same name. So yesterday, when we were working on our groceries data, it rendered in grocerylist.database. It looks a little strange. There's a SQLite format. So you can see some of the words are here, but it's overall like pretty much unreadable. But we don't really need to worry about that because once it's formatted, it will do everything we need it to. I'm going to walk you through this grocery list pie file. We did not walk through this too much yesterday. This is going to be the basis of what we'll be doing while building out our schemas for our meal plan. So all the recipes that we'll be building as a part of our app, as well as the schedule plan. So here we have just an import statement for SQLite, and then all this raw data for our groceries. It's just a list with a lot of different groceries, like 60 different groceries. And then right here, what we're doing is just sorting the groceries. So they're in alphabetical order. And then after that, what we want to do is connect this file to our grocery list database file. Like I said earlier, we want all this information to render into our SQLite format, which is like what this line will kind of help us to do by connecting to that. We're creating a connection with our cursor, and the cursor just allows us to execute different SQL commands, but in a Python file. So we don't need to have a bunch of like extra SQL files. We can just be executing those commands within our basic Python file. Someone requested I zoom in on the screen. Let's see. Is that better? And for mealplan.py, we will be getting into that in just a second. I hope this is zoomed in enough. I'm going to continue on. So after we make our cursor connection, we are executing our first SQL command right here. So here you see create table groceries, and then we have our different information. So typically when you are creating an SQL file, you make schema to basically just create the structure of your different data types. I'll kind of show you what this would look like in a normal SQL file, just to kind of like help with the learning process. So I'll just do examples.sql. And then I'm going to pull up some schemas that I can show you. All right. Okay. That's not the right file. Here we go, I think. Here we go. Okay. So in our SQL file, they're very literal and kind of like Python, like where there's not like much syntax that you'd like need to think about. So what this would look like in SQL would be like pretty, like it's the same syntax, it's just formatted different. So this is all like one line basically. I'm going to basically show you what this looks like as like a schema. And for SQL, if you're not using something like SQLite, most of the keywords or all of the keywords need to be capitalized. So we have create table. Groceries can be lowercase because that is just like a variable name. It's the name of our table. We're creating our schema. So we have our ID. This is our first, we only have like two variables for this. We have our ID number. So this is just going to be our index. We don't necessarily need this for the groceries. This kind of shows you how this works. And then we have our name, which is text as the data type. So in SQL, you need to have the data type following the variable name. And up here on line 2, we have ID as the name, And then we have it being an integer. It needs to be a primary key number. And we also have auto increment. So we're not assigning these manually, as you can see right here in grocerylist.py. We don't have all of them being assigned. We don't have them in tuples where we have like cream, comma 49 or 48. It's just cream because we're auto incrementing and kind of just assigning it with that indices. So I'm going to write out what some schemas would look like in a few seconds to show you what it would look like in the SQL file. But when we are running commands like this, it's just so we don't have to have a bunch of clunky files with this. And you'll see later like how it can be difficult. And then you have to go through a whole integration process. So this runs just like a lot faster. And then after we are running that, we're creating that table. We're just going to basically go through the entirety of the groceries list, and we're adding these by inserting them. So how we would do that in SQL is also pretty similar. I'll show you just so you have an idea of what it would look like in SQL. So we have insert into, into groceries. And then what we need to have is our name. So rather than just like having the name, the values, because like we are just kind of reading in these values from groceries, we need to have like the actual name. So as you can see here, it's taking in the item, this item at like each part of the groceries. So we would have just like the name of the groceries. So here we would have name, and then for example, let's capitalized green beans. Curious if this will, if we have SQL installed in browser, because I don't think it's going to let me run the file. Let me go to extensions real quick. This isn't super important if we don't need to. Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to run through it, but this is basically what it would look like. We're inserting into groceries the name, green beans. I am curious though. I'm going to ask Copilot, is this the right syntax to insert green beans? It's not like, okay. Into my groceries table, because I haven't written SQL by itself in a while, so I don't want to lead y'all astray. Okay. Okay, so we were close. Basically, name would need to be in parentheses as well as green beans. So it is like an exact, I guess, copy of this, just like not the question mark. And this is like an actual valuable or actual like variable. So we have this particular keyword in parentheses and the values we want to put into it. And then we have green beans, like I said earlier. Okay. So that is how we do that in SQL. And then as you can see at the end of this function, we are printing out that it added this particular item to the groceries. We are committing all we just did to our connection. So everything we just executed using the cursor, we are committing to our SQLite connection, which is this database file. So we're making sure that all that information is getting added to our grocery list database file. And then we're closing our connection, so we're not using any additional memory or space when we don't need to. All right, let me check, see if there's any questions. All right. Hello, Armand. I'm doing pretty well. I find like the SQL stuff to be pretty interesting. Daniela asks, schemas are the same as models. I am slightly confused what you mean by models. Maybe I was using that word interchangeably, but schemas are essentially just creating the data structure for our SQL file. Um, so this would be our schema. We would have like all of our variable name as well as like the type of data we're using declared right here. Um, is yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay. So let's get into it. So we have our grocery list here for that connection. We're going to move on to meal plan now. We've done enough of a recap, enough explaining after we kind of just quickly went into everything yesterday. So here in meal plan, I copied over something similar. So I imported SQL, and then I also created a class with recipe. So we'd have different information on our recipe, which will be going into the meal plan. I think I might change this throughout this process. We'll kind of see how easy it is to access this data within a class. I think it might just be easier for managing everything. So here we have a recipe book, which is a list, just because there's more information. Like we will need to have more stuff. So if you can see in mealplan.md, I selected some quick grocery picks for picks, not fixtures, that we'll be putting into our meal plan. So yeah, all right. Let me walk through creating a schema in SQL and we can convert it to our meal plan. And then I'll decide if I think that a class is a good final move. Okay, so I'm going to create table. Table is going to be recipes. And within that, what we want to do is the meal plan MD. Going to delete these for the time being. Okay, so we have grocery list. Don't need that right now. Okay, meal plan MD and this. So we need to have our name. So I'm just gonna have name is text. And then after that, we also need to have like the recipe. So the recipe that is also going to be text because we want to have like a link or the body of the recipe in a text. I'm just bringing in some recipes from the New York Times cooking website. I love their recipes. So that'll just be our recipe. We can maybe render it or style the link later. But we just need to store it there. And the last thing we need to do is have our ingredients. So that I think would just be a list. So we could have, I'm curious how I would do that. How would I add ingredients? That is definitely spelled wrong. Variable where I need to enter both the ingredient name and the count of that item. Let's see what Copilot is thinking. Because I was thinking it would just need to be, okay, it's just saying text. I don't think that would be all that helpful. So I'm going to basically just Google adding a dictionary, I think would be the best data structure into our table. Dictionary in SQL schema. All right. can I add a dictionary? Okay. Perfect. Okay. Let's see. No, I don't need to customize all this. Okay. All right, let's just try it out. Let's just do ingredients, or we could just do maybe grocery items. It can be a dictionary. Let me double check. Okay. Let's see. What are the data types we can use in a SQL schema? Okay, integer. While it's thinking, I'll see if there's any questions. All right, it looks like Daniela provided some clarification. On answer to my question from before, while both models and schemas involve structure and data, models are more abstract and encompass a broader range of concepts, including business logic. Okay, perfect. That makes sense. So models are more related to the business as a whole, but I was talking about just schemas, like the granular database level information. All right. Okay, so it looks like we got an answer, integer, number, also number, just a character, text, binary large object, or Boolean. Okay. So I think I'm just going to do grocery items then as a text, and we can split that up later. So it's not ideal, but I think that we can make it work essentially. So down here, we have cursor.execute. I'm going to start bringing our schema over. So instead of create table groceries, we're going to have create table recipes. And we're not going to have any ID. We're just going to have our name. The name is going to be text. And then after that, what we're going to have is our recipe text. And finally, we're going to have our grocery items, and that will also be text. All right. And then we are going to look at recipe book rather than our groceries. I don't think we need to necessarily sort the recipe book like we did with our groceries. And then to insert, we need to change this. So recipes, we're going to put in name, recipe, and grocery items. We're going to have, let's see, recipe book at what, index I, and then we're going to be accessing our name. And then again, we're going to want to have our recipe book at index I, and this time we're going to want to access the recipe itself. And then lastly, we'll want to do recipe book again at index I, and then we'll want to do our grocery items, which is not declared in there. But I think this looks good so far. I'm going to be printing added recipe book index I dot name. All right, this is looking good so far. Let me look at my class structure, which I think is the way to go for this particular data connection. And we're going to have, let's see, self.name, ingredients, and instructions. Rather than instructions, I'm just going to do, I guess instructions makes the most sense. So this will just change to instructions. And I think this maybe should change. So it's instructions within recipe, might get a little redundant. And then we will change ingredients to grocery items. Grocery items. All right, perfect. So as you can see, I've defined our recipe book list, and then I'm appending the first of our information. I don't think this is necessarily how I want to go about it because we have this for loop right here. So I'm just going to go through and essentially make a bunch of these classes, and then we can go through adding them into our database. So as we can see here, we have all of these other recipes. So I'm going to copy them in and start making classes. So salmon teriyaki is going to be equal to, if I can spell, recipe, and the name is going to be salmon teriyaki. Then we also have our recipe right here. And yeah, salmon teriyaki. And lastly, for our, no, it should be grocery items and then instructions, but I don't like how that's, yeah, okay. And then grocery items are going to go last. Okay. And then, perfect. Okay. So we have our grocery items. I'm just going to put in here like salmon, and we need one of them, as well as teriyaki sauce. In this example, we're not going to be making our own. I don't know what else is in the recipe, so I feel like that's suffice for right now. Okay, that is closed. We're going to be making our next meal. So we have recipe quinoa salad. We have our instructions. And let's see. What if, okay, so we can't use a dictionary in our, I'm just talking out loud. I'm just going to do one text, and we'll do one teriyaki, and then I guess like a new line character before one salmon. Okay, that might make a little bit more sense of how we're gonna have to end up structuring it. Okay, so quinoa salad, I don't know what is in that besides quinoa, so we're going to copy this over and then get some quick ingredients. Okay, ingredients, no, not from there. It's wanting me to subscribe, so I'm just going to choose some random keywords from the top. So one quinoa, new line, 1, or I guess let's do 4 bell peppers. And then what else do I have in here? Olives and lemon garlic dressing. 1. The grammar on this might appear to be a little bit funny or like not quite right, and that's just because we want to have, I guess, the particular item that we can just like kind of list like singly, and then we'll add quantities into that. So olives, lemon, pepper, dressing, and what else is cucumbers. Okay. Cucumbers. Let's say 3 cucumbers. All right. Perfect. Let me close off this recipe class. And then let's move on to our smashed avocado chicken burgers, which I am going to not name that variable. So chicken burgers comes recipe. And then we also have this. So, and then for the ingredients, we're going to need 1 ground chicken, 3 avocado. Let's see what else is in the recipe. Okay, ginger, garlic, cilantro, and scallions. All right. Cool. Perfect. Okay, so we have all that. And then I'm going to adjust this from earlier. So here we have bagels. That's going to be equal to New York style bagels. Maybe I should capitalize the other stuff, but we'll get to that later. And then this just needs to be a long string. So barley malt syrup, packet active dry yeast, bread flour, diamond crystal kosher salt, and baking soda. And everything bagel seasoning. All right. I think that's everything. So I'm going to go through and basically just add this to our recipe book. We're not going to be going through a for loop with this yet, just because we don't have enough. That could be an adjustment if we get to data that size, but I don't think it's necessary right now. The for loop, what that's just going to do is add everything from this list into our database file, which reminds me we need to make our meal plan database file. So mealplan.db, and that. Let's see where we're getting errors. Okay. Statements must be separated by new lines or semicolons. This maybe. Oh, I see. There's a. There, that fixes it. Okay, so we have our Create tables. We're inserting our name, instructions, and grocery items. I think we have this all formatted correctly. So I'm going to run this and see if we get any errors. Okay. Instructions. I think it's because I switched the order of these. So let's see if we're good to go. Missing one required positional argument in init. On line 12. Oh, I forgot a comma. Another, okay. So here we have expected at most 2 arguments, and we got 4. Okay. I think what we did here is that rather than having everything like this, I need to maybe split it up. So we have name, value, or let's see. Can you show me an example of cursor.execute method where you are inserting multiple variables into a table inside a for loop. Let's see how the syntax differs. Okay, so we have name, instructions, grocery items. Oh, I see. So I had values, a single question mark, and I needed multiple, I think. And then this needs to be in a tuple. So it's going to be, okay, the same thing, just in a tuple instead of brackets. Okay, that's an easy enough switch. And then, all right, let's see if that fixes it. Table recipes already exists. Interesting. Did I unknowingly add the same name twice? Let's go to grocery list. I don't know. I don't think so. Interesting. Okay. Let's go down here and read what it says. Table already exists. What if I comment this out? Okay, it looks like everything's working. So now we have our database file. I think what happened is it was running into errors while adding them, but it had already added in the table. So that's like why we're getting issues. Okay, perfect. So now we created our meal plan schema. We've added in our data. I'm going to go over into our app and start seeing if we can read it in like we did with our groceries. So let me open up app.py and get rid of some of these extra files. Meal plan, I don't need schedule plan right now. Yeah, okay, cool. So as you can see, we are reading in a bunch of different information. So let's go down to get database, because this is where we are getting our different information. So if database is none, oh, I don't need all this information. So we are selecting different information, basically from groceries. So I'm going to also basically like need to select information from our other databases as well. So, okay, cool. I'm going to run this again and see if with our new database, if there are any adjustments. Last run. Oh, it's already in use. Okay. Refresh. Okay, let's just go to the root page. Okay, perfect. So if database is none and database is, we're getting the attribute of our application. Okay. We're going to get our grocery list. So I'm going to adjust this so that we're getting everything a little bit more clearly. So we're going to have grocery list.cursor, select name from groceries, cursor fetch all. Okay. And then I'm also going to do, let's say, meal plan. And I'm going to do the same thing, but we're going to get our new database we just created. So we're going to connect to meal plan.db. Okay, perfect. So once we go through and we have all of this, I'm going to delete this print statement. We need to close our cursor connection so that we can open up a new one with meal plan. Okay, so wait, that's just, yeah, connection.close. Yeah, okay. Connection.close, and then we create a new cursor. Okay, cool. So let me, oh, okay, yeah, so we're just gonna do right here, grocery list dot close. And then the next thing we're gonna need to do is set cursor equal to meal plan dot cursor. And we're going to be doing mostly like just similar things. So I'm going to do cursor dot execute, and I think I'm just going to try select. So I think we'll just do select name again. Select name from groceries, and then we're going to fetch this data, and we're going to call it groceries name. And we're just going to set that equal to cursor dot fetch all. I just want to print out grocery names so we can kind of see how that looks. Okay, so let's run app.py. Okay, let's see. Where are we running getDB? GetDB session. Okay, cool. Okay, so we need to be assigning variables and returning this. We can actually access this. So I'm just going to return grocery names as well. Grocery name. And I'm also going to, let's see, meal plan dot close, just so it's right there. And then up here where we are getting our database, we'll just create another global variable. And we are going to just name it. We have it down here, groceries name. And on the index.html file, I just want to be printing out these names so you can kind of see how we are accessing the data. So right here, for item in grocery name, and then we just want to do a paragraph element. We're just going to do item, close that paragraph element, and then end our for loop. And for, all right, cool. That looks to be pretty good. And then app.py, we will need to set grocery names equal to session grocery names. But I think we're good to go. So I'm going to kill the connection and then we'll rerun this local host. So Flask run. All right. Let's see what's working. Okay. Internal service error. What's going on? Okay. No such table groceries. That's coming from our SQLite operation. Groceries names. Okay. From get database. Let's go down. Oh, it's because in meal plan, it is in recipes, not groceries. That's my bad. Okay. So let me kill this connection and we'll try running it again. Internal service error. Let's see what's going on now. No such table recipes. Interesting. Let's go to meal plan. Okay, maybe it's inserted everything correctly. This is quite odd. All right, let's kill this again, rerun our meal plan. Okay. Table recipes already exist. So I'm going to delete this meal plan database file right here. And then we're going to rerun that file to regenerate this. So delete permanently. Then we're going to make a new file, mealplan.db. And then we're going to go to mealplan.py and we're going to run it again. Table already exists. Okay. Am I creating it twice? Like what's going on here? Okay. We need to run it. Okay. It's all there. Perfect. Let's see like what I'm doing wrong right here. Okay. So I'm creating a new connection to our meal plan, which is right here, mealplan.database. And then down here, we're reassigning cursor to mealplan.cursor. And we're just selecting name from recipes, which is what our table is in here. Interesting. I wonder if this is interfering with that at all. So let's comment this out and then see what happens when we run this. Internal service error. Okay, meal plan is not defined. Oh, that makes sense. Okay. Let's refresh the page. I guess we gotta kill the connection again. Run it again. Open up the deployment. Okay, what's going on now? No such table recipes. Okay. Groceries names. We're returning groceries names. This should definitely be called recipe names, but that shouldn't be causing issue. So let's take a little gander here. Okay. We have all items, shopping items. Okay. Is render template. Okay, so we're just interesting. Okay, where is index.html? Have recipe names. Okay. Okay, someone said maybe it's talking about line 16. I don't know if it's in reference to this error, but I don't know. Okay. Okay. Do you have any idea why the app isn't finding my recipes table? We'll see what it says, because I'm not seeing anything. Okay. Let's just query this directly. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so we have our SQLite connection with meal plan, .database. We're setting up our cursor right here. We are executing our item. Okay. Okay. I don't think it would be this. I don't think it's actually recognizing that, but on the off chance it is, you can go back here. All right. No such table recipes. I'm just gonna have it. Let's see where the error is. Okay. Let's see what we're getting right here. Okay, so we are getting our connection. And then that is when we're getting our exception. Execute. Okay. All right. You explain. How can I delete it before creating a new one? Okay, we're just going to drop table. Sick. Let's see if that maybe makes any adjustments. I don't see why this is going on, but let's try this out. Drop table if exists recipes. All right. Cool. Let's try executing this again. Another internal servicer. No such table recipes. What is going on? All right. Okay. Do I maybe need to recipe? I don't know why this would change anything. Okay. That would be quite dumb, but let's just see what happens. Again. Okay, we don't need to be printing this anymore because we know the connection is working. Let's maybe look into okay, so we have our recipe names, setting equal, okay. Get database, and we are returning all three from get database. Entering all that in, so it has to be coming from here. That is weird. All right, I am going to I'm going to try just setting up we're going to set up our schedule plan schema. We're going to get all that squared away. Just we don't spend any more time debugging right now because I don't seem to be getting anywhere with it. And then we can come back to this in a second. Okay. So I'm going to be creating a new file. It's going to be called scheduleplan.db. And I'm also going to be needing to make a new file called scheduleplan.py. And I'm going to be bringing over everything from my grocery list. His meal plan is a little messed up right now. All right. Anyways, let me go to my schedule plan. So schedule plan.md, I just went through kind of the schema we talked about in part 1, and then I created a week's worth of plans. So what I decided on is that for our eating location, it was going to be one of two values. It was either going to be at home or not at home. And the plan ID just turned into plan as like that variable. And it can be like just like basic text. The time is either going to be breakfast, lunch, or dinner to simplify things. And the date is just going to be month, date, year, which is a data type in SQL. Let's see. Here we go. Yeah. Yeah. Can you show me the SQL date data type? Okay, cool. So we're going to start building out our schedule plan. I'm going to delete groceries. Cool. All right, so data type, this is the format we're using. Perfect. So it's not exactly what I did, just the like it reversed, just the date keyword. Perfect. And we just insert it like this. So not that difficult. Okay, perfect. So here I'm going to go down here and adjust the table. So wait, is that the issue? No, never mind. Okay. We're going to change groceries to schedule, or we're going to change actually plans. Create table plans. And we're going to have, for our first variable, we're going to have, delete this for a second, delete that. Here we go. We're going to have our date, and that's just going to be date variable. Then the next thing we're going to have is the time, which is just going to be text, because we're not using the actual time. And then after that, what we're going to have is the plan itself. So we'll just do plan description, and that's going to be text as well. And then eating location. Eating location is also going to be text. Perfect. Okay. So we just need to insert into plans our variables. So we're going to have insert into plans date, time, plan description, and eating location. And we're going to have our values. And then let me go through how I want to structure this. I think I want to use a class again. So let's do class plan preload. I have our constructor. So what we're going to have is our date, time, description, and location. So self.date will be equal to date. Self.time is going to be equal to time, and self.description will be equal to description, as well as self.location is equal to location. Perfect. Okay. And then we're going to go through our plan preload, and we are going to add in all of those to our array. So I'm just going to skip a lot of information. So I'm just going to have schedule is going to be equal to this empty array. And then I'm going to just go through, say, it's going to be equal to plan preload, and the date is going to be 2024. The date is going to be 05, and then 13. And then the next thing we have for our time, that is going to be breakfast. And then for our description, let's see, we have Global Hack Week stream. So we'll be eating breakfast at home. And then I think this will also be easier. Locations, I'm just going to set that equal to at home or not at home. And then for our time, we're going to set that equal to breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Okay, so rather than having this, we're just going to have times 0. So we don't have to type it out every single time. We can just do locations 0. Okay, perfect. So let's go through and do this for basically the entire week. Monday morning. And rather than, I think, do that, I'm just going to append all this to the schedule. That'll be a lot faster. So schedule.append. Cool. So here we have times, it's going to be 1 rather than 0. What plan do we have? Okay, again, Global Hack Week stream during midday as well. The location is going to be at home. This time it'll be times 2. Let's see. Okay, group study session, and the location is not at home. So I guess that we will be eating on campus. So location will be 1. Perfect. Okay, and then I will copy this for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So here we're going to have 18, and then 17, 16, 15th, as well as 14th. Okay, cool. And then I'm going to copy in our plans. So today, again, we have another Global Hack Week stream. So we'll be eating at home. Let's see what we have going on. And then we're going on a hike with our roommate. We'll be eating at home again. And location will be at home. Okay. What are all the errors coming from? Sure. Was not closed. Okay, we need to see. Okay, we have plan preload. So it should just be the 2 parentheses, right? Yeah. All right. This, I don't need that. Okay. Oh, so that's going to be the case on literally every single one. Okay. Okay, cool. This needs to be up one day. All right. hike with roommate. Location is going to be at home. And then dinner, we have another Global Hack Week stream instead of the group study session, but still at home. Let's see what we have on Wednesday. We have an apartment tour, but we're eating breakfast at home before we go. And then what do we have? Midday, work meeting, not at home. Okay, so on the 14th, we have a friend's going away party that evening too. So we're not eating at home. Okay, the 15th. What are we doing then? Oh, I did. This needs to be fixed. Okay. My apologies, everyone. 16th, 17th, before the 18th. All right, so we're just gonna delete this. Sunday, Saturday, Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday. I guess I just didn't do a full week. Okay. So friends going away party. And then on the 16th, we have gym and a career center call. And then moving out with friends. All right. Reading outside before study group. And that concert downtown. And then we have last knitting club and a 3-hour long walk. And then what's our last plan? Making chicken salad with our roommate. All right. Typically, it won't be this much manual input of information. This is just going to fill out 1 week, and then we will fix. We'll just have it where the user is inputting this information. All right. So getting rid of this because it's not groceries. The connection is going to be schedule plan, not groceries. Okay, we have our connection. We are creating our table for I in schedule. Then I think I'm just going to do for I in schedule. So I think that use case is a little different here. Insert into plans, date, time, eating location, and values. So we're going to do a tuple right here. And for date, we're just going to have I dot date, and then we'll have I dot time, and then we're going to have I dot description before I dot location. I think that's everything. And then we're going to have added I dot description. Okay, this looks good to me. I hope this works well, better than last time. We're able to insert everything and figure out what the error is. So I'm going to run this. Object has no attribute description. I plan preload does have an object named description, though. Did I misspell description? Description. Oh, I messed it up. Okay. Cool. That means we need to drop the table too, so we don't run into issues like last time. Cursor dot execute dot drop table plans if exists. Cool. Okay, run again. What was the syntax last time? Oh, okay. So this just needs to be after exists. Cool. Okay. We're going to run this. Near question mark. Okay, that's not helpful. I'm just going to do a quick command I / explain. What does this error mean? We're gonna, okay. Explain. Okay, stop, and then ask this question. Okay, but we're in schedule plan. There are 4 variables. Okay, that looks right. We have our tuple. We have date, time, plan description, eating location. We have our table. Okay. Let's look at the error again. Oh, I need commas. Is that it? Yeah, that's all it was. Okay, that's funny. It's always that. Perfect. Okay, so now we're going to face the app.py file again and hopefully get a good connection here. So next thing we're going to do is create a new section for our plans. So we're going to have schedule plan be equal to g._database. Yeah, and then it's equal to SQLite 3.connect. And then we're going to be using the schedule plan database file. And then we're going to be setting our schedule cursor is going to be equal to schedule plan.cursor. And then we're going to just basically execute. Let's just take this simple SQL command, schedule cursor, and then we're going to pull in from plans. Double check that is the name of that. Okay, perfect. And then I just want to set schedule equal, or I guess, yeah, schedule plans is going to be equal, do a schedule items, it'll be easier to differentiate. And then we're going to set that equal to fetching everything, cursor.fetch all. And then after that, we're just going to basically want to close our schedule plan. And we'll want to return our schedule plan, our schedule items. Let's go up here and see if we can get all of these. So session, schedule, items, and then in here, we'll need to do schedule items is equal to session, schedule items. Let's see if we can get that into our thing. So I'm just going to do, I guess, the same thing as what we have going on here, but for schedule items. Cool. Let's run this again and see what errors we get. Cool. So we're still getting the recipes error. I'm just going to comment that out and see if we're able to get our schedule plan. So comment out our recipe items. And then we're not going to be returning recipe names. We're not going to have recipe names in here. And no recipe names here either. Okay, run this again. No, we need to kill it. Another, okay. No such column name. Did I? Oh, it's because there is no column name. Okay. We'll just do description. Cool. Yeah, okay. Kill it, try it again. Again, okay. Cannot operate on a closed database. Interesting. Schedule items, fetch all, but oh, I see. Because I changed the name. Okay. Okay, they're popping up. So we have, we're able to replicate our, we're able to basically read in our new sets of data into this application. So we just need to, I guess, essentially debug the recipes for this, but this is a good sign. It means that we have our data is being read in, and we're able to kind of like see everything again, which is good to see. Yeah, it's kind of an overview of what we've done so far. We have built out our schedule plan, like that database, as well as our recipes database using SQL 3, and then we are reading it into our app file before using Jinja to show it on the front end. So I think the next thing we would need to do would just be kind of formatting our schedule. So I'm quickly going to do that. If you have any questions about anything I've done so far, feel free to drop those in the chat. I'd love to answer those as we kind of are beginning to run up towards the end of the stream. So if you have any questions about what we've done so far, any of the errors, feel free to drop those in the chat. If you want me to run through anything again, let me know. But in the meantime, I'm just going to start formatting our schedule items. So I think like the next course of business would just be to grab more information. So we're going to have schedule, yeah, I guess schedule items. I think that like creating a class here would make a lot of sense. But I don't know. So maybe just bring this over. Yeah. But I don't know if we need it for, okay. Anyways, so schedule items, schedule dates is going to be equal to schedule cursor dot execute select date from plans. It's going to be equal to fetch all and then I'm going to return schedule dates. So let's see if we get session schedule dates. And then cool. All right. And then I do think the class will make sense now that I look at it. I think that we need to have all that information kind of together. So I'm just like, we have schedule items. What if I just change this to rather than date, select all from plans. All right. Internal service error. Schedule dates is not defined. Probably returning it, yeah. Okay. Might have it anywhere else. Let's see up here. Schedule items. Yeah, schedule dates needs to be deleted. Okay, let's kill and then run this again. Cool. Okay, so we're getting all of our information at just formatting. A lot. Okay, this was not as difficult as I thought it was going to be. Cool. So basically just need to be formatting this. So we can do some bare bones HTML. So we could do Let's do H1, and inside that we can have item dot date, and then we could have, let's see how this is formatted. We have our date, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Okay. Just have location is going to be equal to item dot location. And then up here, I think instead of this, we'll have what? Okay, date, and then item dot time for H1, and then for H2 we can do item dot plan description. Cool. All right, this looks good. Let's kill it and reconfigure it, and I can get rid of all these internal service error tabs. Thanks for bearing with me through the many errors. Okay, we'll kill this and then rerun this. All right, so we have location. We're not able to access it the way that we typically can. Okay, so I guess if they're in tuples, they're all in tuples. Okay, so we're gonna need to access them like that, which is slightly less convenient. Okay, so date is the first. So we'll just have item at index 0, item at index 1, and then its plan description is first. So then we're gonna have item at index 2 and item at index 3. This should do the trick. Run app.py again. Cool. All right. So now we have the basics of our schedule. I think that once we get to styling, we could kind of bring these together to where we have basically just them in like a calendar format, because they're all like listed like pretty clunkily right now, but we're reading in our data, which is the important part. We'll get into more CRUD applications in the next one. But I think it's looking good so far. I think that maybe some logic we'll need to add is kind of grouping them together by date. And we can maybe even, with the CSS styling, add in some color changes so that we're able to have, maybe if dinner is not at home, that is purple, and if we are eating at home, that's blue, or something even more like it's red if we're eating at home, because we need to like think about that as like a part of this app, and it's green if we're not at home because it's already been thought for, our meal is already figured out. Yeah, I think we made some good progress this session. We can go back to our to-do list. A little too ambitious. I guess we'll be able to finish the rest of this in part 3. So we were able to finish our tutorial here. Let's see if we can get, check mark. And then we created schema for schedule plans and meal plans, and we filled out our databases. So that's good. So what we need to do for part 3 is we're going to be needing to add in a few different CRUD operations and some update functions. But I think we made some really good progress throughout today. This is looking really good. And I will see y'all in part 3. Part 3 is going to be tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern. You'll be able to find more information on the schedule at ghw.mlh.io if you want to join in for part 3, where we are kind of bringing all the pieces together with this. Also, I want to bring your attention back to this. So if you did not already, you joined in maybe a little bit late, you can head to this link, events.mlh.io, with like your registration to kind of like get your attendance points for this session. If you would like to see the code that we worked on today and last session, you can access it at this bit.ly link. I'll send it in the chat. I haven't pushed everything from today's session so far, but I'll do that after I send this link in the chat. But I'll send those 2 links, and then you're able to view everything on the GitHub. So let's bring this over to y'all. So this is the GitHub repository. And then if you would like to register your attendance, I'll send that one last time in the chat. But thank y'all for coming out today. It was great to see everyone. I hope you learned something. I definitely did. I definitely learned a lot, and I'm excited to kind of bring all the pieces together tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern. I hope to see y'all there. But if it doesn't work with your work, school, or sleep schedule, totally understand. You can always check the recording after the fact. So have a great rest of your Global Hack Week day, and I'll see y'all at 6 p.m. Eastern tonight. Thank y'all. Bye-bye.